Okay, so yeah, where were we? Well, so we talked about Caitlin Clark, and then I got the call, so we got a little we got a little distracted and got into the GOAT debate a little bit. You know, when you're talking hoops, that's almost always going to come up. So we will go ahead and get to our last topic here, and that is Canelo Alvarez, Saul Canelo Alvarez. All right, so tonight is obviously the big Cinco de Mayo weekend fight with the current face of boxing, and that is, as I mentioned, Saul Canelo Alvarez, and he's going to fight against his fellow Mexican Jaime Mungia, and that should be a good one. I think Mungia is undefeated as well. He's a power puncher. I think I was listening to some boxing content today, and they were saying that he averages, I want to say, twice as many punches per round thrown as Canelo does. So he's a real worker. He's a energy fighter, and he often wears guys down and then takes them out later. So we'll see how Canelo can deal with that, because obviously he's starting to get up there now in age and his punch output is down. So we'll see what we got. And this should be, I think, a really good fight, even though it is not the fan from Canelo that fight fans truly want to see. And this is frustrating to me, right? Because what we really wanted to see, and I think you'll agree with me on this if you're a fight fan, is Canelo versus David Benavidez, the Mexican monster. And this is the crazy part, right? Canelo actually left the zone to avoid fighting David Benavidez. So if you're into boxing, um, then you know that the fight you wanted to see probably at super middleweight 168 was David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. And when he was with the zone tried to say, "Hey, go ahead and make this fight," and Canelo was like, "Nah, I'm gonna be out and go hook up with a new promoter instead of taking this fight," which really frustrated me. And this is something that we've seen in boxing, unfortunately, all too often. Um, so here's the deal, right? As great a fighter as Canelo has been throughout his career, and this is, I can't stand it. He seems to be following this Floyd Mayweather Jr. model of making fights. And what do I mean by that? I mean, he's manipulating the opposition in terms of not only who he fights, but when he fights them. And so here's an example, right? Canelo Alvarez, I think he's won titles at 140, 147, 160, 168, and 175. So I think he's won titles in 5 divisions, which is awesome, right? Okay, all time great, cool. And when he went up to light heavyweight, he fought Sergey Kovalev. He won the fight with an impressive 11th round knockout. And here's the thing about that, though, he didn't fight Crusher Kovalev, right? He fought Sergey Kovalev, and that was an old Sergey Kovalev on the way out, getting a big payday by fighting Canelo. You think Canelo didn't know that? He wasn't going to go up there and try to fight Crusher Kovalev. He would have got handled if he did that. We saw how long Canelo waited to try and avoid fighting Triple G. Prior to the first match, Triple G literally got into the ring and said, "Hey, let's get it on," because Canelo wasn't going to fight him if he didn't get his pride damaged by that. And then when he fought him the first time, he ran from Triple G the whole fight and he stole a draw, which really pissed me off. I was a big Triple G fan. And even still, being objective, if you go back and watch that fight, you know Triple G won that fight. He won close, but he won. So for that fight to have been a draw, that was absolutely terrible. The second fight was the one that actually should have been a draw that Canelo won. Okay. So there's that. Then there was supposed to be the rubber match, and Canelo waited 4 years to fight Triple G again. This is what I talk about when I talk about not only manipulating who you fight, but when you fight them. So he waited 4 years to fight Triple G again, knowing Triple G, I think, was already about 5 years older than him. So he waited 4 years, and he made Triple G come up to 168 super middleweight when Triple G had fought his entire career at 160 middleweight, right? So not only do you wait till he gets considerably older, then you make him come up in weight class. So he has to carry him out more weight in the ring than he's ever had to carry before. And he's not used to fighting at that weight. So this is a tough spot. Then he beats him. I'm not going to say easily, but I'm going to say he beat Triple G clearly. And so, again, that's that Floyd Mayweather model, manipulated that situation. And I hate when athletes manipulate their situation instead of just competing, because when you just compete, and you do everything you can to make yourself the best, everything else falls into place. Don't try to manipulate the situation, because we can see that as fans, we can see it, and it's not cool. Let's see what we got. That's why Ali, Hagler, and Tyson will always be greater than Floyd to me. Absolutely. They never duck the smoke. And I'm actually getting to that, as you mentioned, Hagler. So hang with me. So back to Canelo, right? Um I know things are so different today, and a big reason why is because the money is so huge. But if you look at fighters back in the day, for instance, look at the Four Kings. My man, it's not that serious. Mention Marvin Hagler. So you got the Four Kings: Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Tommy the Hitman Hearns, and Roberto Duran. These guys fought everybody in their time, including one another. Great points, Need. Real champs wipe out entire divisions. They fought everybody, when they were supposed to, including one another. There was no hiding, no running, no ducking somebody else to try and protect an O. See, Floyd Mayweather Jr. to me he's created a bad mindset in boxing that if you lose a fight, then all of a sudden it's like the end of your career. Like, it's cool to be undefeated, but if you lose a fight against another elite fighter, fighting them when you're supposed to, in my estimation, that doesn't really hurt you. That just means you did what you were supposed to do. And if the fight was compelling, well, now there's even more money in a rematch. So why not do it? I just don't get it. So, these guys wanted to prove who was the best back in the day. And the only way to do that was to get between the ropes to do it. And that's what they did. But back to Canelo. So he left the zone to duck David Benavidez. And he said that the fight wasn't going to do anything for him, which, again, frustration. There was no benefit. So earlier this week, he was on First Take being interviewed by Stephen A. Smith. I was surprised to see him there. And here's a clip from that interview that completely shocked me. Check this out.
What if the public craves and demands that your next fight is David Benavidez? You open to doing that?
We'll see. Why not? If the money is correct, why not? I can
Okay.
fight him Saturday night too.
Saturday night too. So you think
Yeah.
you think you'll beat him up too? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I beat that guy. If the money is the money is that correct? I fight that guy and I beat that guy the same night.
Come on, man. Come on, Canelo. Like, that was just ridiculous. He's just talking, saying nonsense because he knows that that can't happen. Plain and simple. Those comments were absurd. He beat Benavidez, the Mexican monster, the same night after fighting Jaime Mungia. Come on. Like, I hate when guys do this. So apparently, also Canelo made comments recently, or I don't know how recently it was, but between leaving the zone and now, saying that he wants between 150 and 200 million dollars to fight David Benavidez. And again, I see what he's doing. There you go, Sneed. I see what Canelo is doing, and this is the slick move again, right out of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. playbook, right? Because what is it? He won't get that number. But then when he doesn't and the fight doesn't get made, he's gonna say, well, I tried to make the fight, but he didn't want to make the fight because he put out some ridiculous number, 150 to 200 million dollars in order. Yeah, that's funny. He put out the number 150 million to 200 million dollars for that fight, knowing that that's not a reasonable number. So he says, okay, hey, I tried to make the fight, but they didn't want it. When the crazy part is, um what is it? David Benavidez put it out there that he was willing to take, watch this, an 8% to 92% split to fight Canelo. That's how bad he wants to fight, and that's how confident he is that he can beat Canelo. He was willing to take an 8% to 92% split, and Canelo still said no. Canelo don't want to fight that man. He knows what time it is. So now Benavidez, I think he's going to miss out on that fight personally because he's going up to 175. He's going up to light heavy. And he said that providing he wins his next fight, he wants the winner of Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. And man, I think Beterbiev is going to beat Bivol. I think he's going to beat him down. I think he's 20-0 with 20 KOs. He's an absolute monster. And I think he's going to beat Bivol, but the problem for me is if he fights Benavidez, man, what a slugfest. That'd be an all-action fight. But I don't know if they'll be able to sell it. I don't know if they'll be able to sell it, but I think it would be an all-action slugfest. But the reason I have an issue with that, if Benavidez goes up to 175, Canelo's not going to come up to 175 to fight him if he actually fights him. He's going to tell him to drain back down to 168 and come fight that fight. And so David Benavidez may truly miss out on an opportunity, number one, for a pretty solid cash grab, and number two, for an opportunity to beat the guy who is the face of boxing. So I, I think it's just terrible overall that these guys are allowed to do this. I think it's terrible overall what Floyd Mayweather Jr. has done to the sport of boxing. Like, I get it. These guys, it's prize fighting, right? So these guys should be making a prize off of it. But to eliminate competition, uh, I don't like it at all, man. But regardless, I'll definitely be checking out the Canelo Mungia fight, and I'll see what's next. I hope Mungia upsets him, because I'm not a Canelo fan at all, and I don't care if it messes up boxing. I really hope Mungia upsets him tonight, because I don't like when people make moves like that and try to duck and try to basically duck the smoke. I don't like that at all, especially when you're talking all that nonsense and you're supposed to be an all-time great. And definitely don't like that. Boxing needs to get his act together. It really does, because when there's a big fight, the fight sells. We see that the fight sells, but the sport needs to give us, as boxing fans, more of what we want. And what we want are the big fights when the big fights are supposed to happen. We want to see them when they're supposed to happen. So that's all I got on this topic. I'm gonna open up the phone lines one more time. If anybody wants to call in and talk about Canelo Mungia or Canelo ducking David Benavidez or anything like that, you can go ahead and call in. I'll give that a minute, and then if not, we'll go ahead and we'll close the show out from there. Yeah, for real. Canelo is going to want $1 zillion, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's reported that he's saying he wants 150 to 200 million dollars to fight Benavidez, and I don't like that at all, man. I'm really trying not to call anybody a name here, but it says to me that clearly he doesn't want to fight, and I'll just say he's ducking him. I'm not going to say what I really want to say. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. I'm gonna wrap up this show. Great content tonight, great interaction with all you guys. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for that. Just a heads up, no show next Saturday night. Be away on vacation with the fam. Gotta do that. Gotta take care of them. So no show next Saturday night, and I will be back after that. So yeah, thanks so much for checking in. Make sure you share the podcast, let other people know about it. Have a good night, and I'm out. Peace.